Såna is a village that is situated by the Oslofjord in Vestby municipality. Throughout the centuries, people, goods and cultural impulses came to Såna due to trade and contact with other countries. Both the numerous archaeological finds from Såna and the written sources tell us about this contact. Labo farm lies just outside the town centre, near the Såna river. There was a farm settlement there during the Viking period, and trade activity possibly already took place on the farm. In fact, the location was perfect for it. There was a good harbour and a wide open area that sloped down to the water in front of the farm. We know that trade took place on Labo at least from the end of the 1200s, and trade activity continued for several hundred years. One of the buildings from the Middle Ages was of a type that was otherwise found only in towns during this period. The building had a corner hearth and probably a cellar, as well as lovely imported glass windows, some with painted decor. The house was in use from the 1200s and into the 1700s and witnessed trade contact, wealth and an urban lifestyle. In the late Middle Ages, the Hanseatic merchants dominated foreign trade in Såna and the rest of the Oslofjord region, but in the 1500s, the Dutch took over. At the same time, water-powered sawmills came to Norway, which brought about a revolution in timber exports. Around 1500, the harbour by Labo became difficult to access, partially due to the rise in land levels, which in turn altered the river mouth and the sea level. With that, a new sandy shoreline southwest of Labo was used for trading and storing timber instead. In the beginning, this was considered common land, where local farmers brought timber and met with the travelling skippers, buyers and merchants. This sandy beach, which is where Såna Centre is situated today, was developed into housing plots. The first houses were probably built in the 1620s, and the area developed quickly. Professional merchants settled here and functioned as middlemen between the farmers and the travelling skippers and merchants. With the general town privileges of 1662, just a few of the old seaports were allowed to continue as export ports under limited trading rights, and Såna and Hurlen, which were subject to Christiania, were among them. Christiania, of course, was a former name of Oslo. In Såna, there were 4 great families who were especially significant in the timber trade in the 1600s and the 1700s: Solgård, Tank, Bare and Randers. Most of them lived in Hurlen, but also had buildings and timber storage facilities in Såna. Although there are a few kilometres between them, there was a functional symbiosis between Såna and Hurlen from the 1600s and well into the 1800s. In Hurlen, there were sawmills, and that is also where the leading timber merchants lived, while Såna was a port town, with a population largely connected to the sea: skippers, sailors, pilots, fishermen, boatmen, dockers and craftsmen. The settlement of Såna was developed on Labo's property. Though trade activity moved to Såna, Labo continued to function as a farm, residence, tavern and guesthouse. However, at some point before 1750, all activity ceased, and though it was once bustling with life, after this point there were just dilapidated buildings and overgrown fields and meadows. However, Såna continued to grow, and several protected buildings stand where the village of Såna is today.